Hospitals.
Yeah.
AI hospitals.
Right.
What are your guys' opinions on so first of all, there's the SAG-AFTRA thing that just happened with the voice actors and people's getting their voices replaced with AIs. Are you guys pro AI or are you kind of afraid of it? Because before y'all begin, I'm very pro AI. I think it is the future. I feel like people are fighting against it.
Yeah.
When people say things like, oh, AI is going to be taking away jobs like fast food restaurants, well, I feel like it will also create opportunities for new jobs. And I think it will also advance our species as a whole. But that's my opinion. So I'm curious if you guys are for or against.
I think AI can do a lot of good things, but also a lot of bad things. But I think that a lot of the bad things are kind of coming forward now. But over time, there will be more good things like science things, medical things, like what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think?
If you look at history, there is not a single point in the entire time of recorded history that pushing back technology and suppressing it was ever viewed as anything more than bad. So if you look at the church doing it, if you look at any sort of oppressive regime doing it, if you look at current dictatorships doing it with the internet, this has never been seen as a positive, and technology has always moved forward, and AI will be no different. AI is a great thing. I understand that people are upset that their jobs are being lost to AI, but in my opinion, the company should not be responsible for your welfare. That should be the government. So, take up that frustration with the government, and I agree with it. I'm a universal basic income enjoyer, okay? I think this is a very important thing. I don't want to get political here, right? But I don't think that there needs to be any reason that you should have to need to have a job. And I think that I actually would disagree with you that AI will introduce jobs at the same rate that it removes them.
Oh, I don't think it's the same rate at all.
The same thing happened with machines, right? In factories and shit.
Well, you're talking about the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. And you're right about that, but the Industrial Revolution, the goal of that was mainly to process things at a rate and scale that was unheard of. Whereas with AI, that's one goal, but the other major goal with automation is it is fundamentally at its core designed to remove jobs from the economy.
Yep.
Because that's what it's supposed to do. So if it's not removing them at a higher rate than it's adding them, it doesn't exist.
I would, and I'm not sure what you think about this, I would assume that if AI technology is properly implemented and used how we view that it could be used with AI fast food restaurants, I would assume the cost of living would drastically go down without having to pay so many more workers to sustain the factories and restaurants that we currently have to do. Would that happen that way? I don't think the cost of living would go up. I would assume it would go drastically down.
Well, it depends on how you define that, because the cost of living, for example, for wages, right? You look at wages, how much money people get paid. At 1970, somewhere around there, there was a massive divergence. And before then, workplace productivity went up at about the same rate that wages did. And now, where it was going up like this, now it's like this, where wages are all the way down.
That's not good.
Yeah. And so usually whenever things are able to make more money, they retain the original prices unless other people reduce their prices. And I went to business school, and I was many years ago, 3,000 years ago. Yeah. And I remember one thing that I always thought was very interesting is that one of my my professors said that, a price war isn't good for anybody. And so, which is kind of an ironic thing because it clearly is very good for a customer, but the customer isn't even considered in the business equation. So as long as people are willing to buy stuff, I wouldn't expect the price of living or the cost of living to go down a lot. And I think another example you can use of resources and materials becoming cheaper and then not retaining any sort of a price reduction is diamonds. Look at the price of diamonds. Look at how easy it is to make diamonds and the artificial scarcity of them. And then also look at the artificial diamonds that are created and see how people don't put the same intrinsic value into it.
Yeah.
So I think that, no, I don't think the cost of living will go down substantially, although the raw cost of living will. It will just increase the profits for the, the people that have the means to secure them.
Okay. The way I was picturing it was you know how if you want to get a massage, you go to a masseuse?
Yeah.
You charge them $400, $500.
Right.
You get rubbed up, feels good.
That's an expensive massage.
Yeah, I don't know how much a regular massage is, but I've only gotten one. And
that's a crazy expensive one.
That's not.
I'm sure it was good.
It was not that much.
Oh, okay.
Really?
I can't remember.
It's $100.
Okay, $100. Sure. Let's say you pay $100. Maybe you tip $50 because that's some traumatic shit having to ask somebody to touch you like that. So you tip them pretty good that way. You know,
Sure.
they feel better. Or you could do the massage chair, which is $1.30.
Right?
Does the same
Not
thing, but
the
just way
same.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same at all.
Yeah, that's how I feel about AI art. Like, people keep talking about it, and I mean, maybe over time it'll start to look more organic, but I've never looked at a piece of AI art and been like, damn, this is better than something a human could make.
I don't think that's true. I think that that's only true in the context of you knowing that it's AI art. How do you know that every single piece of art that you've seen isn't made by AI?
That's true, I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of AI art, like especially when you can tell it's AI art, I feel like the value of it comes from like, oh wow, this was like really easy to make. It took like 10 seconds to type it in.
Yeah, 100%.
But it doesn't look better than something that's like obviously made by a skilled artist.
But it gets the job done, as
Yeah.
well as then I don't have to talk to an artist
Well,
who's going to
especially-
fuck me over. They're going to make me wait 3 fucking weeks. I'm going to do back and forth. I've had such a bad...
3 weeks is really fast for an art commission,
Okay, 3 weeks would
in
be
my
crazy.
experience.
Okay, I've been
Yeah.
waiting 8 fucking months for emails.
That is
It's
annoying.
insane. I don't know. I've had a very bad time talking to
Yeah,
artists.
I mean, part of the controversy with that also comes from that AI art is created from samples that real artists have made.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like the AI is pulling stuff that humans made to make its own thing. So then people are like, oh, in a way, it's like plagiarizing, stealing.
I understand that people are upset about that, but I will be honest. A lot of people base their art off of existing art.
Yep.
Like, for example, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is derivative in a lot of ways from Fist of the North Star.
Absolutely.
Does that make JoJo's Bizarre Adventure any less or anything else? No, it doesn't.
No.
So I don't think that there is a substantial, like, logical difference between using something that's informed by an algorithm versus using something that's informed by perception.
I feel like there is, because I feel like
think
that's
so?
like for streaming. Like, say like Ludwig did like an event that you really liked and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to do my own version of that. I feel like that's the same as like being like, I really like this artist's art, and then like taking a piece of their style in reference to your own.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like AI is like a clips channel that's just a bunch of clips of other streamers. It like hasn't made anything that it's its own, you know?
Well, I think it depends on what you define as mating, as made. Yeah, mating. Like, sorry, like, it's such a dumb thing to say. As making, right? As making something. And so if you have something that like that is created, like, is there something that has a higher intrinsic value because it's created, like it's handcrafted? Like, if you found out that this or that or this chair or the blanket was handcrafted.
Yeah, I think that there is to a lot of people, but to a lot of people, there's also not. And I
It's
mean,
beauty
you
is in the eye
also
of the beholder.
can't stop it. So it's like, why fight it?
And I think that also, like, people right now are having this perception. And I bet that people had this same perception whenever cameras came out. And originally, people viewed photography as a joke. And then over time, it became more normalized as society got more acclimated to it. And I think that's what's going to happen with AI. Because, for example, with photography, you don't need to have photorealism with drawing anymore, because photography just exists.
It's
right?
crazy.
You don't need that.
It's
Yeah.
crazy seeing some of the things people do with AI. You know what I saw on Amaranth's Twitter?
Oh, boy.
I don't know if she's still doing this, but I looked at this like
Is this the
a
bot?
week ago. The bot? No, not the bot.
Oh.
So what she's been doing is she was posting selfies of herself for like whatever she was doing, going live, whatever.
Yeah.
She started posting AI selfies of herself.
Right.
And it's very obviously AI, like her face looks off, like it's just off, her hands are fucked up, the background doesn't make sense.
Naturally.
But it gets the same amount of likes, and a lot of the comments don't even realize it's AI. So it's
Exactly.
like, why would she get dressed and put on makeup to take a picture when a lot of her viewers don't even know that it's an AI picture she probably took like 30 seconds to make?
That's crazy, actually.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
Really?
Go
Yeah, I've never heard
look
of
at her
it.
Twitter
Schlatt.
later. It's crazy.
What about Schlatt?
Think about it.
AI Schlatt.
What's AI Schlatt?
He face apps himself all the time.
Oh, I think FaceApp is fine.
What's the difference?
That's like,
Oh, I don't think there's... No, I think it's fine.
I don't think that there's I really don't think there's a big moral difference between face apping and AI.
I wasn't even
Well, no,
saying it was immoral. I
Yeah.
just thought it was funny.
The problem is the
No,
internet-
I didn't mean that you were. I think it's very interesting too. I love it. I think it's incredible.
'Cause
And like at the end of the day, you said it gets the job done.
Yeah, it gets pretty much the same amount of interactions.
And there are people that like AI art porn. They love it. Remember we had the big fucking deep fake thing and all of that. And it's getting very popular. And it's going to continue to get like that. And that's just the way it is. And
Yeah.
so there are ways that you can kind of like combat it. And I think so. Like that's important to do, especially with like people having their likeness used without their consent or against their consent, especially. But overall, I do think it's a great tool and it will be like super useful for a lot of people with all kinds of things. Like for example, my editors use AI Asmongold to just read
People don't
something.
even realize.
They don't even know.
That's crazy.
They have no idea, bro. In like 3 years, I'm just going to retire and people are never going to know.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, but like I could, and like yeah, they'd be like, oh wow, yeah, Asmon's stream really was great today. He doesn't get mad on stream anymore. Like, yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
And so that's it. I think that's what's going to happen more and more is that you'll see more things become normalized, and as AI becomes normalized in culture, people will be more accepting of it. It's the same as like video games, right? Like we've seen, all of us really have seen. Like growing up, video games were not as culturally relevant or culturally accepted as they are now. And I think the same thing is going to happen with AI. Same thing happened
I agree.
with, I would say like 2016 was a pretty big turning point for like computers and like the internet, and like 2020.
Why 2016 in specific?
The election. And
Was that Obama?
no, that was Trump. Obama
Oh my God,
was,
Trump was 2016.
yeah, Obama was 2008 and 2012.
I'm curious to see like the long-term consequences of things like AI, because even now for like the internet, like I keep seeing all these posts that are like, it'll be like a parent and he's like, my son is like 22 and he and none of his friends like go on dates or have girlfriends or really like socialize
Reading my Reddit.
outside
Both
of
of those are on my Reddit.
Oh,
his
well,
problem.
it wasn't on. I didn't see it on your Reddit, but I did see it on Reddit.
Yeah.
But then, like for things like like AI girls or like AI people, like I also saw this study that was like about how like humans weren't meant to like see so many like beautiful or attractive people in their lives. Like you'd be like in your village or whatever, and there'd probably be like 3 beautiful girls. But now it's like you go online and you see all of these attractive people, and like with AI even more so. And it just makes people like have a harder time like getting into relationships, staying in relationships, even like socializing outside of online. So over time, is everyone just going to become like a degen hermit? Like what's going to happen?
I don't know.
I think that will probably happen to an extent. You're right.
Not everyone, but a lot of people.
And I think that also, like, imagine showing our life now to somebody who grew up in the year 1890. Like, they would view us as degen hermits.
100%
So
belief.
it's like, because you think about back then, like you went to church, you got married in the church, like you wouldn't, like your idea of having fun was going down and, everybody singing songs together, at some bar or some tavern or something like that, or at somebody's house. So like, I think that really, yeah, you're right. Like AI fucks some people up, but I think the real truth is that it doesn't fuck some people up. It gives people the ability to fuck themselves up.
That's a better way to put it.